Hello and welcome everyone to another Northgard video on this channel. Yesterday the Dragonclan got released on Steam and actually got playable for everyone. I'm of course quite hyped about that because I like the Dragonclan quite a bit, and even though that I couldn't really participate all too much in the beta phase due to my sickness, I'm quite hyped that the clan got implemented mostly like it were in the beta phase and that there weren't too much changes to its gameplay because it were really enjoyable. With the new update there came of course new patch notes, and how the title of the video might have already said, we're gonna go over these in this video, so let's not lose any time and just drop right into the patch notes. So here we are with Nidhogg, the clan of the dragon. The most alien of all clans, the dragon follow ancient customs and embrace sinister traditions. They use sacrifice and slavery to further their goals, often earning the other clans' distrust. I think the slavery thing has a little bit changed, so the slaves are at least not called slaves anymore, they're called thralls. The starting bonuses of the new dragon clan will be that your civilians can go into neutral territory, so you can actually clear out neutral tiles with your civilians and your slaves. Also you will get no happiness nor production debuff for being wounded, but is of course very helpful with that, so there's no real downside to clear out other tiles with your villagers and thralls. You start with a sacrificial pyre. You can build a Dragonclan altar instead of any other military building. So this is quite important since you can only build the specific unit for the Dragonclan and you are not actually able to build any other unit, so you're not able to build any warriors, shield bearers or something. So you're quite bounded to your unit there, but the unit, I can already tell you, is quite special and might really be worth it to go into that deal. Start with 2 thrall and 3 regular villagers, and you will also be able to buy more thralls at the dock, but the amount of thralls you can actually get depends on how many villagers you got in total. Let's take a deeper look into the thralls right now, because I think there are a lot of questions to be answered. Thrallery is an important part of the clan's economy. Like the regular civilians, thralls can travel in neutral territory and fight. Thralls do not count towards your population and do not require housing. The maximum number is based on your current population number. That means that the maximum number of your thralls will always be 33% of your actual villager population. They consume only 33% of what the villager would usually consume, and they gather 50% less resources than a civilian. So that means that in the end they're a little bit more effective than a civilian can actually be, and with one of the lore trees that gets very interesting, but we're going to get a little bit later. So let's take a look at the 2 different ways to actually get new thralls. The first one we actually covered already, that is that you can buy them from your longship dock. The first one will actually cost you plus 40, you always buy them in double, so you always buy 2 thralls at a time, and they always double their cost if I got that right. I think it actually doubled when I played it, so the first 2 cost 40 gold, the second 2 cost 80 gold, the third cost you 160 gold and oh no. But I don't think that you will ever get thralls at this price, because just the given strategies don't really force you to go down that route. And the price of your thralls will also decrease by 2 gold every month. What is not that much, but like I said, you don't really want to get thralls at a high price, so you don't really hope that much for a big discount there. Second way to get new thralls is with the capture lore. You will be able to enslave enemy civilians. You'll need to get them to 33% HP and have a chance of 10% per hit to enslave them. This also works for neutral factions. Please note that each enslaved kobold will take 1 slot in your thrall population, each Mulkalfar will take 3 slots, and each Jotun will take 5 slots. So yeah, you will actually be able to enslave kobolds, Mulkalfar and Jotun for your army, and they will stay just as strong as they were before. But let's really quickly get to the downside of the thralls. Because thralls are a very powerful economic and military asset, but beware of their number. If by any chance your regular population falls under your thrall population, they will rise against you. That actually never happened to me right now, but it may happen to me because I like to play the strategy where you really have a lot of thralls, because they are a little bit more efficient than your normal villagers. But let's see how that actually works out, and I think that could be really fun to see. If you may have seen somebody playing the Dragonclan before, you may have wondered what a little bar on top of the screen meant all the time. We're going to get a little bit deeper in that. Sacrifices and dragon essence. The Clan of the Dragon starts each game with a pre-built exclusive building, the Sacrificial Pyre. Through this building you'll be able to send every unit you have except Warchief, Jotnar, Blind and Spectre warriors to be sacrificed to honor the gods and gain their favors. Sacrificing a unit will earn you some dragon essence that can be used to unlock various bonuses. Sacrificing a regular non-Thrall unit gives you 2 dragon essence, and sacrificing a Thrall gives you 3 dragon essence. So each dragon essence is of course one of those bars, what you can see right here. Each fame step will improve the available bonuses and will unlock additional parts of your dragon essence score. The different bonuses that can be unlocked are Nana's Influence that will give you a happiness bonus, Adrimir's Influence that will give you a food bonus, Njorund's Influence that will give you a wood bonus, Njord's Influence that will give you a gold bonus, Mimir's Influence that will give you a lore bonus, Hernia's Influence that will give you a fame bonus, Edwin's Influence that will let your Dragonclans heal yourself at a rate, and I actually didn't found it that strong, to be honest. They may have changed it a little bit, but in general I didn't found it like super strong. But I think I didn't really play the bar too much, because you gotta know that when you play the game, in general the bar will always lower itself down and you will need to sacrifice new villagers to keep it up. So if you see a bonus at the end of the bar that you really want to have, you can consider to sacrifice a lot of villagers and everything to get to that bonus, and you then gonna have it for really a lot of time, because you gotta see that those little boxes here are also the months and they will go away with all the time, and those bonuses will wander with the bar right here to the other side and they will pop up new bonuses right here. So if you want to really have a bonus and lock it down for a long time, like for example I would want to have the fame bonus right here, I could go all the way to that bar. That would need a lot of sacrifices for me, but I would have this fame bonus here for over a year then. So if it could be the right bonus, it could be worth. But healing the Dragonkins didn't really help me out too much, and I didn't really have too big numbers of them, so that might also be a reason why it didn't help me all too much. Maybe my guess is a little bit wrong. The last is Magni's Influence that will improve your warband attack. Almost all of the bonuses will actually improve with the Fame bonus and later on with the Jarl bonus, while I can't really say that about the healing for the Dragonkins right now, because it's not written right here and I didn't really test it out too much, but I would just guess that it doesn't improve. We already heard so much about the Dragonkins, let's maybe talk about them for a little bit. Dragonkin and their altar. The Clan of the Dragon does not have access to the regular military buildings. The only military camp you'll be able to build is the Dragonkin altar. Each altar increases your warband size by 1 or 2 if upgraded. Giving a villager his Dragonkin form is a non-reversible process and will consume 50 crowns, increasing by 10 crowns for every new Dragonkin. And 1 Dragon Essence unit, so you always gotta watch out that you have enough Dragon Essence to actually pop the number of Dragonkins that you want to pop. And it can be a quite hard process to get a big number of Dragonkins because of that, because you're always forced to also sacrifice a few villager and thralls in the process. Dragonkins are ferocious military units that are more powerful than warriors, so that I can definitely underwrite. The one thing I definitely know is that they have 70 HP, so they're more comparable to a war chief unit than to a warrior unit, but they're definitely harder to get and harder to keep up than warrior units. Thanks to the Frenzy Lore, they can get a plus 50% attack bonus when fighting alone in a tile, and that also embraces a little bit of the War Chief style, because you're most likely really gonna run around with a few single Dragonkins and try to clear out the tiles a little bit alone, while big tiles with 5 Draggers or a lot of Valkars will still be a lot easier to clear out with a big mass of them. Let's jump into the lore tree of the Dragonclan, because there's also quite a few interesting stuff. One of the Dragon has 5 new lores. The first one of that is Hard Labor, that will replace your Woodcutter's bonus. Your thralls can be conscripted to production buildings to increase their output. You can assign a maximum of 1 thrall to every building. What is also quite helpful already for first lore, because you can then assign your thralls to fields or a Woodcutter's Lodge that can help you quite a bit to help you out at certain points. The next lore, Blood, Sweat and Tears, that is actually on the same tree than Hard Labor, will improve that even a little bit more. It is on the same spot where every clan has its unique lore, and it will give you the ability to assign 2 extra thralls to your production buildings. That will actually mean that you can have a maximum of 3 thralls at that building. I misunderstood that a little bit and misunderstood the strength of that build a little bit, but this combination of lores is actually super strong. And that means that you're also in high danger that your thralls will rage against you if you lose too many of your villagers. So that should get a few very funny moments in the game. The next lore we already talked about, it's the capture lore. It gives you the chance to enslave rounded enemy civilians or neutral faction units. Enslaved Milkafar count as 3 thralls, Jotnar count as 5 thralls. I'm also going to repeat that you need to have them down to 33%, and then you have a 10% chance per hit to actually enslave them. So it's not that easy, but you can also cheese it a little bit, maybe with the Jotnar, with going in, hitting them low and not killing them, running out of the tile again and waiting until they healed up a little bit more. So that could give you a little bit higher of the chance, but usually it is a little bit luck depending. The next lore, slave trade, is on the last lower spot of the trading tree, so you will get it quite late, and it will also go around of a quite different strategy. So with the slave trade build, you will rather sacrifice all the time your slaves and have a lower price for them than later on. That will help you then out a little bit more. Since you can reduce the price of the thralls, then this is of course great, since you're not gonna pay that. The last lore that will replace Weaponsmith will give you a plus 50% attack bonus for Dragonkins when there is no other allied unit on there. So I think we talked about that before already. It's also implemented that there's a little bit of a late game debuff for the Dragonclan, because it's of course gonna be a little bit weaker against the other clans, because this bonus will most likely not apply anymore, and the other clans will then have their Weaponsmith, their Young and Proud. And it's gonna be nice to see how that actually plays out. So I guess that the Dragonclan is more of an aggressive goer at the early game, and you try to suppress your enemy on many tiles with your Dragonkins, like with single Dragonkins. Let's jump into the general changes, because with this update there were also a few other things that got touched. First off, with the Clan of the Wolf. The Berserker now costs 200 gold and 5 iron. His defense has been raised to 10. I don't think that is much of a debuff or a buff. I think it's mostly evens out, because I think the wolf will be a little bit stalled out by the little bit more gold that he will need to get for his berserker, while I don't think it's gonna hurt that much. And his defense change is also not that crazy that you're gonna say, okay, he's a complete tank now. It's still quite squishy. It will make it a little bit easier to micro him, but therefore you're also gonna pay a little bit more. So I think it evens a little bit out and will most likely just equal. Next on the line is the Clan of the Bear. That will now start the game already with Kaja, and she will actually be able to enter enemy territory at your 500 fame. What I think is super interesting of a change, and I'm really hopeful to see how that plays out. It's of course a little bit of a Bear Clan buff that a lot of players asked for, but I don't really thought that the clan really needed that, but I think it's gonna give the clan a good push and not really make it too OP. The Clan of the Goat will now start with 1 additional sheep in his nearby territories, what will help him out in FFAs and duels quite a bit, where you cannot rely on your teammates giving you their sheep. I think it's a quite cool change, so also the Goat clan can rely a little bit more on that, what it makes its clan unique in duels and freefall. So the Warcry has been debuffed a little bit, and I'm quite hyped to read that through. The time effect has been decreased from 4 seconds to 3 seconds, and the cooldown has been increased from 1 month to 3 months, what I think is really important. 3 seconds is of course really strong, but wait a second, only 1 Warcry can be shouted each month per tile and per team. What I think is really on point, that change, because you can't then just chain Warcry the other team. It's of course taking that a little bit out of the game, but it can be a little bit seen sad, but I think it's really useful, and it should help out the game a little bit, because it was so frustrating to just get chain Warcry, and it should really help out to in team games not have 3 players just all going for the Warcry. So you have a little bit more variance in the team games and not just players just going for the Warcry. So I think this change is really on spot. The Mukafar's life has been decreased from 60 to 50, what I think is quite neat, because I always found him a little bit too strong. To be honest, I just dealt with him in the last time, and I didn't really meant too much that they're a little bit too strong in my opinion, because just all players have to deal with them, but there's the random factor is of course a little bit playing in there. But having them a little bit weaker now maybe takes a little bit out of the frustration factor and makes them a little bit easier to kill. The kobold spawn rate has been decreased, and they won't start expanding on the player's territory before the middle of the year 802, what I think is a great time to start the attacking, because at that point most of the players should already have up their army already, and the attacks before were just a little bit too early. If you were not able to get a tower up on this tile, you were most likely quite screwed with 4 kobolds in your tile and having to to defend that with villagers or maybe 1 or 2 warriors in there is quite hard. So nice they changed that, and it should in general also get the balance a little bit down for players getting attacked by the kobolds and the other players not getting attacked by the kobolds. It should that even out a lot more. Really hope you have as much fun with the Dragonclan as we did creating them. We still have a lot of awesome ideas for you in the future and can't wait to share them all with you. Thank you for your continued feedback and support, and have fun. Yeah, that's the thing that I can also wish to you. I hope you enjoyed this video, I hope you enjoyed the patch notes, and I also really hope that you enjoy the Dragonclan just as much as I do, because I really think it's a great addition to the game and I have a lot of fun with it. Even though that I'm a little bit sick right now and I can't really play it a bunch right now, I will as soon as I get healthy again, and maybe see you then in game. Bye bye everyone, ciao!